So that what we can say, the photosynthesis converts light energy into which energy? Chemical energy. That is what we have to remember. So this is the first step in the transforming of energy from the organisms. One organism to another organisms. This is what it will happen. So now the second point, you tell me, is it the energy is continuously transforming or else only at certain stage it is transforming? Anybody? Please respond. Is it energy is transforming continuously or only at certain stage? Nobody is answering. Yes. So certain stages are Tarani. I'm saying that not first step, second step, and third step, Tarani. Is it continuously energy is transforming or not? That is what I am asking. Energy is transforming continuously or not? That is what I am asking. From plants to the from the plants to the herbivores to carnivores to again top carnivores, again it will go to the microorganisms to again plants. Like this, it is continuously transforming, or else it is stopping a particular level. It will transfer continuously. Understand? So there is a continuous transfer of energy from one trophic level of organisms to the next trophic level in the food chain. So if you take, for example, producers like plants transfer the energy to the herbivorous animals, and next herbivorous animals will transfer to the small carnivores or carnivorous animals, and then the carnivorous animals will transfer the energy to the top carnivorous or large carnivorous animals. So the energy transfer of the transferring of energy takes place in the form of chemical energy of a food. So it is continuously taking place from one trophic level to another trophic level. It is not that today will take place, tomorrow it won't be takes place. So continuously the food from the producers to the carnivorous, it will be continuously transforming from one to another one. That is what you need to remember, the second point. So there is a continuous transfer of energy. There is a continuous transfer of energy from one trophic level to one trophic level of organisms to the next trophic level in food chain. So example, you can take what? Plants to the herbivorous example, deer to the carnivorous or small carnivorous or big carnivorous, lion. So you can take here how the energy is transforming from one trophic level to another trophic level, and this process is continuous in the ecosystem. So that is you need to remember. So always the energy takes place in the form of chemical energy of the food. You need to remember that. So the transfer of energy takes place in the form of chemical energy of food. That is. So please write. This is the second point. Next, what is the third point? Anybody can tell me? Third point, you might be notice it. So every stage they are using the energy for some purposes. What is the purposes? Harini, Arvind, anybody? Dina? They are using for some purposes, as I told you, every stage. Whatever the energy they are getting, they are using for their purposes, and other energy is releasing, unutilized energy is releasing in the form of heat. So what is the purposes they are using? Anybody? Varshini? Yalini? They're using the energy for some purposes. What is that purposes? They're utilizing the organisms. Every organism, they're utilizing the
Produce starch.
what purposes?
For respirating growth.
Yes, for their metabolic activities like respiration and as well as growth. That is the third point which you need to remember. Right. At each trophic level of organism, at each trophic level of organism, organisms, some of the energy is utilized by the organism for their metabolic activities like respiration and for growth, tissue development. That is. So this is the thing. So next, fourth point. So now what is happening, guys? It's not that complete energy is utilized. Some unutilized energy is releasing in the form of something into the some place. What is that? That is the fourth point. What is that, Ra? Please respond. What is that? Nobody? Some unutilized energy is releasing into some form. That is what the fourth point. What is that? Please respond. Nobody? So, okay.
Carbon dioxide and water, sir.
Not, I am asking Arvind. Some energy, unutilized energy in the form of heat, it is releasing into community heat. That is what I am asking. So it is not that complete energy is utilized by the plants, yes or no, or else animals. So some energy, they will use it for their metabolic activities. In that, you are saying that carbon dioxide is releases. That is not I am asking. Some unutilized energy, what will happen? It will be releasing into the atmosphere in the form of heat. So that heat only what we is to call? They will release the heat energy to the environment. That is only we is to called as a community heat. Understanding? That is only I am asking. So please write. Fourth point. A part of energy at each trophic level, a part of energy at each trophic level is utilized for the each trophic level is utilized for the functioning of decomposers. That is what microorganisms we used to call as. So now, including the decomposers also, some unutilized energy will be there. That will be releasing into the form of heat, into the atmosphere or environment. That is only we used to call as heat, community heat. Okay. So that is the last point which you all need to remember it. So there is a loss of energy. Loss of energy at each energy transfer in various trophic levels of organisms, which goes into the environment, and remains unutilized. unutilized. So this energy is only what is happening, guys. It will be keep on releasing into the heat energy. That is what we can say. This unutilized energy will be released into the atmosphere. It will be lost as, understanding, lost as heat energy, which goes into the environment, is known as what is the name of the drug? Energy loss. Please respond. Community heat. That is what you need to remember. So this is all about how the energy is transforming. Understand, everybody? And how these things, everything, the food is transforming from one direction to, means from one level, one tropic level to another tropic level. So this all the things is happening. So next class we will study this flow of materials in the ecosystem is usually a cyclic, but the flow of energy is unidirectional. Only in one direction energy is transferred, but the materials is a cyclic process in every ecosystem. So that, like, materials, what is that materials? That is all we'll study, and how the energy is transforming in only single direction. That is what we'll discuss in the next class. So for example, if we'll take, so you can keep heading flow of materials in ecosystem, flow of materials in ecosystem is cyclic, but flow of energy is unidirectional. That is. So now materials means, can anybody say what is a materials? Example, you might be guess it from class 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, all the chairs you are studying about water cycle. Have you heard, guys? Water cycle, carbon dioxide cycle, nitrogen cycle. Please respond. Yes or no, guys? So that is what water cycle you might be heard. Water will evaporate from the oceans, transpiration through the plants. It will be keep on going up. It will become a condensation, and as well as precipitation, and as well as in the form of rain, it will come back. Have you heard it? Water cycle. Please respond, everybody. Yes. Nobody is responding. So water cycle. So continuous cyclic process of water, like from evaporation from the oceans. Next word, condensation. Next, formation of clouds. That is what precipitation. Next, precipitation to again in the form of raining. It will come back. So like these materials we used to call as, water is a material, carbon dioxide is a material, nitrogen is a material, like fixation of nitrogen or carbon dioxide, fixing of oxygen in the atmosphere. These all the things we can say as a materials, including the minerals, everything from the soil, whatever the minerals we have been taken from the plants, soil, air, and water bodies, everything they will made into food. That is the reason we are taking. So if we take our food, so many chemical substances is present. So this food is then passed to the animals like herbivorous and carnivorous in the food chain. So after the death and decay of the plants and animals, they will be go back to their original position. That is what, because decomposers they will eat. So the materials like water, carbon, and nitrogen present in the bodies, they are returned to the soil, air, and as well as water from where they are taken originally. So if you take the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, again carbon dioxide will be released in the atmosphere once our death will be takes place. So if you have been taken some minerals from the ground, if you have been eaten up by the something food, suppose plant, it will take the minerals from the soil, air, and as well as water. So now once it will die, it will be eaten up by the microorganisms, so that all the things, whatever it has been taken from the soil, air, and water, will be again reversed to the soil, air, and water. So that is why we can say the materials in the ecosystem is cyclic, but the flow of energy is unidirectional. So why this flow of energy is unidirectional we are calling, and what will happen in this? So that is all we'll discuss in the next class. So that is what you remember. So the materials can be reused for the growth of new plants, and it is a continuous process. The plants will the plants will eaten by the herbivores eaten by the carnivores will die, it will be eaten up by the microorganisms. Again, the minerals and as well as the whatever they have been taken from water, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, etc., will be again absorbed by the soil, air, and as well as water. So that is why we can say the flow of materials like water, carbon in the form of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, oxygen, everything, understanding, etc. This all we used to called as materials or substances. So these materials are never lost from the environment. So the flow of materials like water, carbon dioxide, nitrogen in the ecosystem is continuously taking place. That is why it is called as cyclic process, like water cycle. So we know that from the ocean, what is happening? Evaporation will take place so that they will form the clouds. Yes or no, guys? So that is what the clouds is forming by the process called as condensation. So now same way from the plants. So the water will evaporate. That process is called as what we used to call transpiration. Yes or no, guys? Now these clouds will start forming into the small clouds. So that is only we used to call as what? Precipitation. Understanding, Ra? So precipitation after it will be starting what? Is in the form of rain, it will come down. So again, it will be same process. So this is what we used to say, the water cycle. So it is a continuous process, like the carbon cycle. If you take nitrogen cycle, if you take oxygen cycle, everything is like a continuous process. That is why this all the substances we used to call as materials. Understand, Ra? So it is not. This is not in the case of energy. So materials can be back into the original position wherever it has been taken. They will go back after certain situation, but energy is not like that. Energy is only transferred from one direction to another direction. That is what you need to remember. Means a single direction. The flow of energy in the ecosystem is unidirectional. Unidirectional also we can call it as what, guys? One direction. That is you need to remember, either unidirection or we can say one directional. So materials like water, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, everything, carbon dioxide, this all will be reversed back into the original position where they have been taken. But energy, why it is unidirectional? Let us discuss it. Very small thing, why we need to postpone. Tomorrow we'll continue next concept. So that the energy enters from where, guys? Please respond. Why energy is unidirectional means? Please respond. From energy starting from where? Varshini? Energy is starting from where, guys? Anybody? Energy enters the plants from where? The plants are there. So that, yes, PLA and plants, it is coming from where? From the sun. So that is the thing. So sun to the plants by the process of what? Photosynthesis. Yes or no? So by the process of photosynthesis, from the sun to the plants, energy is transforming. So next, what is happening? Through the photosynthesis, during making the food, it will be utilized. Next, that energy is passing from one organism to another organism, like herbivores to carnivores. So like that, energy is transforming in the continuous food chain. So you can take in this chain, it is continuously transforming from one organism to another organism. So now if you notice it, the energy given out by the organisms in the form of heat, is lost to the environment. It does not return to the plants again. That is why we can say energy is not like a cyclic form. It is unidirectional. So the plants, they will get the sun energy in the process of photosynthesis, and they will make the food. So that food is transformed to the herbivorous. So plants also, they will lose some energy in the form of heat. Herbivorous also, they will form of heat. Carnivorous also in the form of heat, and as well as microorganisms also. So this heat energy is not diverted back into the plants again. Understand? It is mixing with the atmosphere. It is passing from one organism to another organism in the food chain, and this energy given out in the form of heat is lost to the environment. It is not coming back into the plants again. So that is the reason a community heat. Yes, Tarani. So what is happening? So they will make it makes the flow of energy in the ecosystem only one direction. So this heat energy is not coming back into the plants, that community heat. So that is why we can say energy transfer is unidirectional, but material transfer is cyclic form. So we can say that the flow of energy in the ecosystem, you can say that it is said to be unidirectional. Even fifth point, you can note it down. It is said to be unidirectional because the energy lost as a heat from the living organisms of a food cannot be reused by the plants in the photosynthesis. So that is the thing. Because it is mixing with the atmosphere, it is not reabsorbed by the plants. Plants only, they will take the energy from the sun. Once they lost the energy, that energy will never be reused by the plants. So that is why we can say energy transfer is unidirectional and material transfer is cyclic. So please all of you write it. The 2 points you have to write it. First point, the same materials are used again and again. The same materials are used again and again. The materials are not lost from the environment. The materials are not lost from the environment. Not lost from the environment. So the flow of materials like water, the flow of materials like water, carbon and nitrogen, etc. Carbon and nitrogen, etc. In the ecosystem is said to be cyclic. 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 Because after the death and decaying of plants and animals, the materials like water, carbon and nitrogen present in their bodies are returned to soil, air and water. Returned to soil, air and water, from where they were taken originally. From where they were taken originally. Do you understand, everybody? Please respond.
Sir, from where they?
Where they were taken originally. Do you understand? That is what. Water is taken from the soil. Carbon is taken, carbon dioxide in the form of carbon from the atmosphere. Nitrogen is also from the soil and as well as atmosphere. So that is why it is. So wherever they have been taken, they will be returned back to the same thing. So that is what you need to remember. But in the case of energy, what? It is not happening because in the form of heat, whatever the animals or plants is losing the energy, that is what community heat. So community heat is not helping the plants to the photosynthesis reaction. Only sunlight energy or sun energy is only useful to plants to produce the heat photosynthesis process or for producing food. The loss energy or community heat is not helping plants to carry out the photosynthesis process. So that is why we can say energy is unidirectional, but materials is cyclic process. Please write it. The flow of energy in the ecosystem, the flow of energy in the ecosystem, the flow of energy in the ecosystem, the flow of energy in the ecosystem is said to be unidirectional. The flow of energy in the ecosystem is said to be unidirectional, because is said to be unidirectional because the energy lost as heat from the living organisms, the energy lost as heat from the living organisms, that is only what we used to call that energy. What we used to call that energy, guys? Community heat. Community heat, bracket you can keep. Community heat lost as a heat energy from the living organisms, of a food chain, cannot be reused by plants, cannot be reused by plants in photosynthesis. That is all about it. Understand? So now if you'll understand this, then this is all about how we can say in ecosystem materials are cyclic, but energy is only in unidirectional. So this is all about it. Then next class we will study the 10% law. This is the most important in this chapter. So that is only we used to called as 10% law. So what is this 10% law? And who has been given that everything we will study in the next class, and as well as after that we will go directly into the trophic levels, like accumulation of harmful chemicals in the food chains. So what is the use of disadvantages of using pesticides, and why the number of trophic levels in the food chain is limited. This all the things we will study in the next class. Later, depletion of ozone layer. So hardly within a week we will finish this chapter, then almost the syllabus is completed. So thank you everybody. Bye. We'll meet in the tomorrow morning, and all of you come sharply by time into the offline class.